I will let them in as they come in. So let's see, we are missing a couple of people. Anyway, because we have some new coalition members and we have some folks here that may not have met everyone. I'm just going to ask everyone just to go around the room and just say who you are, who you're with. So Jane, I'll start with you. You're muted, Jane.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Jane Blackwood, the Director of Washington County Adult and Community Education and Axiom Education Training Center.
Awesome. And Angela? Angela's new to our coalition.
Angela Focusato. I'm the Executive Director for the Beth Wright Cancer Resource Center, and we service both Washington and Hancock County.
And I'll wait on Jody. Jenny?
I am Jenny Jones, and I'm the Down East Director for the Maine Seacoast Mission here in Cherryfield.
And Christopher?
Christopher Hinshaw, Director of the Greater East Grand Economic Council.
And Eric?
Hi, I'm Eric Brooks, Director of Adult and Community Education for MSAD 37 and Principal of Harrington Elementary School.
And hold on, here comes somebody else. Great, nice to see you again, Eric. And Dylan Pardue is new with us too.
Everyone, I'm Dylan Pardue, he, him, or they, them pronouns, and I'm the Director of Technology and Systems at Cobbs Cook Institute in Trescott.
Glad you're joining us. Rose?
I am Rose Smith. I live in Robinson, and I am a member of the coalition.
That's right. Thanks for joining, Rose. And let's see, Taylor, let's just keep going around here.
Hello, everyone. Taylor Oddleifson, he, him pronouns. I am Digital Navigator Program Manager with the NDEC.
Thank you. And Missy or Melissa?
Hi, I'm Missy Mitchell. I am the Technology Coordinator at Shedd High School and Eastport Elementary School.
Fantastic. And let's see, Marita?
Yes, I'm Marita Fairfield, and I am the Chief Operating Officer for the National Digital Equity Center.
Thank you. And Danny? Oh, I don't know. Danny, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here now, Elaine. Yeah, I'm driving. So this is Danny Sullivan. I'm president of Down East Broadband Utility.
Glad you can join us, Danny. Nakia? We're just introducing ourselves.
Good morning, Nakia Dana from the Passamaquoddy Tribe at Madoc-Magook. I'm the Tribal Broadband Coordinator and Education Resource Coordinator.
Thank you for joining, Nakia. And so that winds us up with the famous/infamous Chris Martin and Jody Martin. So Jody, you got here first.
Hi, my name is Jody Martin. I'm with Give It, Get It, computer reuse program. Chris and I share executive director roles.
And Chris.
The infamous, I guess, Chris Martin here, co-founder of Give IT, Get IT, which some of you, especially Eric, might recall as PCs for Maine back in the day.
Great. And actually, Tracy just joined us, so we're going to let her connect to audio. And there we go. Tracy, we were just winding up with introductions because we have some new coalition members. So if you just really want to quickly introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tracy Carlson, Communications Director with Healthy Acadia.
Fantastic. Thank you very much all for being here. And so we are finally here, ready to kick off our free device program, which is why I have asked Jody and Chris and Taylor and Marita to join us today so that we can have just a high-level view of what this is going to look like from the moment you receive a request for a device. So once a device comes through, a device request come through, I sent out like some information to you all today. And in that information, if you've had a chance to look at it, is a link to NDEC's device request form. And so if Taylor or Marita, if you want to take over from here, and what happens when it hits you, that request form?
Well, one of the things, and I'll just start my video again. Hold on a sec. One of the things that happens is we work directly with Chris and Jody. We have a lot of different programs, so when we get requests, we often ask for devices before we get the request from Chris and Jody. So based on what the request is, we will make sure that we have that in our inventory from Chris and Jody first. And if not, Chris and Jody will see requests. We have a special form that we work with them so that we say, here's the request that we need. I know we just put in a request last week for you guys for another program. So we have this little segue between us. But once we get that request, then we make sure to contact that person and get them enrolled in the program. And we contact you folks to determine if there's questions. And Taylor, you know this process quite a bit as well. So I'm gonna put this over to you in terms of like what types of questions we might ask of you before we make that request to make sure we can fill it with Chris and Jody. So you have anything more to say on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it, Marita.
Does that make sense to everybody?
I'm guilty of my own talking while muted. So,
Any questions on that or
yeah, so for a little more clarification,
Yeah.
that if I receive a request and I fill out that request form, the device request form through NDEC, then you call the intended,
Yeah,
someone
and-
calls the intended recipient.
Right. We first check to make sure with the partner, and Elaine, we're always in on this process as well, so that we communicate by email, to make sure you're looped in on it. So we make sure we first clarify any questions on that form. So you may not know, for instance, what the best device would be for this person. Is it a wireless tablet or is it a refurbished Windows 10 laptop? There may be some clarifications that need to happen there. So we make sure that we get those clarifications first. And then we take a look and see, and sometimes we get a whole bunch of requests at once too. And we have a whole process that we do when we make sure that we communicate with that individual and let them know that they've been referred as well. So, and we always make sure that, like, as I said, we loop Chris and Jody in through a special form that we have a really nice system with Chris and Jody, I think. Don't you, Jody?
Yeah. So then after everything is clarified and it goes over to Chris and Jody. So then Jody and Chris, what do you guys do on your end? I'm just trying to set up what the whole chain looks
they
like.
send the device to us. So they don't send the device directly to that person. They send the device to us. And then we get that device out, because we often prepare ahead of time based on when we know we've got as I said, we just had another contract where we know we have so many devices that we need to get out. And so we have a system where we connect with them right directly. And then we also, when we contact that participant too, we really get a sense of, what their needs are. We know that they need our internet safety class. And the other thing that we look at is, where is this person? How far do they need to travel, or can they travel to get that internet safety class? Because as Elaine knows, we have classes all over Washington County, but if there's if there's somebody in Lubec, for instance, we have a location in Lubec. If there's somebody that is, well, let's say, there's we know that Jane, you have a partner on site class program with us. So, you know, if you refer somebody and they need that class, we also may find that, you know, one of the things that might be really useful for that person, because they're getting a laptop for the first time, is like Windows 10 Basics. So we would contact the location around to make sure that those classes that really support that person are in the area. And we get that information in place as well, so that that person has what they need to be supported with their device. Does that help a little bit too with the process?
Yeah, and so then you receive the device. I'm trying to set
Yeah.
up a chain for everybody.
We
I know
receive the
how it works.
device. Yeah, we receive the device, and we make sure that we know who it's going to go to and what their timeline is for things, and we do all the support to make sure that they've got that class they need. That you know, some of them only need internet safety, but we also find out what other supports do they need to make sure that this device is successful for them. So, and then we send that device out to them, and we assign them a digital navigator to make sure that that person feels that support, that they've got somebody that's going to connect with them, that they can connect with and say, you know, I really want to learn, I really want to learn Word. How can I learn Word? And then that person might show them how to take our online classes on Word, for instance, so that it's not just giving them the device and say, here, you're on your own, but we also make sure that they are aware of our support classes and things like that. So, and we have a whole packet that we send with it.
Does anyone have any questions for Marita or Jody or Chris or anybody else about how this works? I'm just trying to set up a chain in your mind. Once that request goes through, what happens from there? And so if you guys have any questions of Marita or Taylor or Jody or Chris.
If I could just add something, Marita was just discussing the process of an individual looking for an affordable device and support.
Yeah.
In other parts of the state, if we're not working with NDEC, who's our primary education partner, individuals can come to us directly and request a device through our website. And we do very similar things to gauge the goals of that individual and then what device will fit those goals. We've been doing this together for quite a while, so we're all, it's old hat.
And Chris and Jody know our classes and stuff, and they know that they can refer people of their people directly to us for support too.
Yes, they're all over our website, and we make sure we make sure that link is on every computer that goes out as well for training.
Yeah.
We used to do it all, and we realized it was just way too much for us to be everything to everybody. We started
You
focusing
guys are
more on
so
the
great
devices.
though. You guys.
And I love how Marita goes back to the digital navigator, because the client has already established a rapport with that individual. I know before digital navigators were even in a thing, that's kind of what I was doing for a lot of years. And you learn individuals' entire life stories in your conversation with what they need for a device.
Yeah.
It can be pretty overwhelming sometimes, but making sure that you aren't going to give this person a tablet or a laptop if they have vision issues, because it's not going to be big enough, that they need a desktop to get that large monitor, or depending on what's going on, if they have to have a device that's portable, then we can do a docking station, which is this little device that your laptop sits on, and you plug everything into your docking station, not your laptop. So when you need your laptop, you simply push a button and now you can take your laptop with you somewhere, but you can have this large screen in addition to your computer screen. So
yeah, we've done that with you already with one of our programs. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
really make sure that the folks are getting the device that's best for their needs.
Yes,
absolutely.
because it is not a one size fits all.
No.
Accessibility issues, vision issues, anybody working in an accounting, job exploration field or design, they're gonna need what we call real estate, which is a large screen. I would also add that aside of the individual component, lots and lots and lots of libraries, nonprofits, and community organizations come to us directly to access this same inventory of really nice refurbished equipment. We've been doing that for, gosh, 22 years. So outside of the individual needs, if you guys have organizational needs, we can help you as well. And it's not just devices. It gets to networking equipment, printers, you name it. So we have this awesome flow of about 800,000 pounds of corporate reusable tech that comes through our doors every year. That's a lot of devices, upwards of about 18,000 devices a year. So
it's amazing.
We would encourage you guys to connect with us if you have organizational needs outside of the individual, which is what we do with NDEC.
Yeah.
That's really good. I just wanted to, 1 second, Dylan's been waiting to say something, so thanks, Dylan.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know if this is the right place for this question, but I just heard that you issue Windows 10 devices a lot. And I was just wondering if you had like a transition plan for Windows 11, since the deprecation of 10 is going to be coming up. Not that long from now.
2025 is when 10 is going to sunset. And just because it sunsets doesn't mean that you can't use it. Like your device is going to become unusable. But there is a transition to Linux. If you really don't want, the Windows 10 devices cannot take Windows 11. That's why we put Windows 10 on it. So there's 4 different type of devices. You have a tablet, which is going to be Android driven. Then you have Linux, which Linux is outstanding. Linux has a 200 language pack built into it, so you can do any language. No malware, no viruses, no spyware. The device does not have to come back to us in Waterville if something goes wrong with the operating system. We can simply send out a flash drive, plug the flash drive in, a few keystrokes, and boom, you're just literally rewriting the operating system, which is fantastic. And then you have Windows 10, which those devices, Microsoft kind of pulled a fast one, and not all the devices can be upgraded to Windows 11. So we've got thousands and thousands of devices that are going to be coming up that will not be able to take Windows 11. So you're going to have to stay with Windows 10 with a few security issues because they won't be doing security updates. But you can also do Linux, and you can put Linux on that Windows 10 laptop. Then you have Windows 11, and we have Windows 11 laptops as well. Those are your collegiate laptops. Anybody that is, that needs the latest operating system, so anybody that's in a college degree or community college degree program, or even in a trade program that has to have the latest software, that's the Windows 11 device. That's the student, that's what we call it. We call it the student machine. And that will have Windows 11 until they come out with Windows 12 or 13, whatever they're going to name it. And that's going to be a subscription-based OS. So, we're not really sure what that looks like, but that's what has been hinted to us, is that's going to be a subscription-based.
I give you guys a very direct practitioner's look at this too from 5,000 feet. So The corporate sector retires their technology or cycles it. It's called a life cycle about every 3 to 4 years. So devices are worth more on paper, believe it or not, in these lease programs and buyout programs for over 3 or 4 years than they are to just, I don't know, try to rebuild their own equipment. The other important thing is that these devices are business class, enterprise class devices. We don't reuse consumer tech that you could buy at Best Buy or Black Monday or Black Friday deal at Walmart. So they're designed to be rebuilt and for longevity. Our primary goal for a student especially is to build a system that will give them 4 years of solid use. Windows 10 obviously is kind of riding that line with a sunset for security updates in October of 25. If you can imagine all the spectrum of devices out there, Linux works great in 8-year-old or newer equipment. The newer it is, the faster it is, and it's much faster than Windows. Like literally, it's 3 seconds to boot up when you turn the power button on, because it doesn't have all this stuff running behind it. And it feels like Windows XP. Windows 10, like I said, 2-year outlay or life cycle at this point. So we're very careful with how we use that. Collegiate students, absolutely focused on Windows 11. But now you're getting in devices that are about 4 or 5 years old or newer, typically closer to the 4-year mark. We have a significant uptick in our number of corporate donors. We even connected with an Alaskan healthcare system, if you can imagine, because a Mainer, who was a CIO at Covenant Health in Bangor, St. Joe's and such, actually went to Alaska, if you can believe it, to run this healthcare system and brought us with him. So the scope of materials we're getting that are life cycled shorter, not used as long, is increasing. We got about 620 Windows 11 compatible devices this year out of about 2,200 devices total. There was also this weird influx, without getting too much into the nitty gritty, the chip disruption and COVID impact. Mind you, we want it to be like decades in our rear view mirror, but it was only 3 years ago that the most significant impacts were felt. And what that did was it diminished a lot of inventory that we could have reused because these companies couldn't replace them and had to use them to death. We're just starting to come out of that lull in supply, and we expect to see a lot more Windows 11 compatible devices in the next year. Because now we're into the 3rd and 4th and 5th year of the life cycling of those devices. So I hope that helps.
That answer your question?
Thanks. That's all great to hear. I would just be concerned if Windows 11 devices that are like compatible with it were going out with 10, but it sounds like you guys are handling that and not doing that. So
Microsoft, actually, it's a rule in Microsoft licensing that if the device can handle 11, it has to have Windows 11 on it. That was kind of one of the new rules that they put out. So the 10 ones, it's either 10 or it's Linux, one of the two.
Yeah, I would add something interesting too, Dylan, because you're asking really good questions, might help everyone else. It looks like Windows 11 is going to be the Windows Vista, let's just call it bastard child of Microsoft. We've been working as a Microsoft charitable refurbisher for 20 years, and we've seen this before. So Windows 11 is a bridge operating system to set up a subscription-based Windows 12 or whatever they're going to name it. It's going to be very short-lived, but its support will go on certainly longer than Windows 10. Like I said, October 25. So it's what we've got. It's all we can use. We just know that further changes are coming with subsequent operating systems. And 11 is probably only going to be out there for another 2 years, and then they'll be pushing something else.
I wanted to add one more thing, Elaine.
Yeah.
One of the things that we know, and this has happened, we have a small device program in Washington County as well, but we get requests from people who aren't qualified based on the constraints of our device program, and that will happen with yours. We don't drop those people in the soup. Before, we used to got requests from all over the state for people who needed devices in areas where we didn't have a regional tribal broadband partner with a device program. We would just send them on to Give IT, Get IT. But now we're making a change so that we have what we call our digital skills success plan, where we assess what their needs are, you know, and before we refer them on and show them Give IT, Get IT, the what's called the ILP, Independent Learning Plan Assessor, finds out what their needs are and what their budget is. And for some of those people, what we'll say, we recommend that you ask for a Linux computer because you need it for college. You're in your 20s. You don't need to try to stretch your budget to get a Windows 10 laptop. The Linux computer will be perfect for you. And it's part of, there are a lot of people who are not included in our device programs across the state. And previously we just gave them what, Taylor, we just kind of just sent them to Give IT, Get IT. We emailed them the link. But instead of doing that now, we're making sure that, because they'll go there and they might not really understand what that is. So we've added that into our process as of 2024 to really support helping them choose what works for them within their budget, so that they don't go there and go, we had somebody go there and say, well, that laptop is $300 and something. I can't afford that. We're like, wait a minute. No, you don't need that. But when they went there, they got, they didn't really understand that thing. So we're adding that education in there to really support Give IT, Get IT, and make sure that that they get what they need. And we know that for a lot of them, all they need is, Jody, you've said this many times, that's a young college student. They don't need the top, you know, depending on, you know,
the gaming laptop.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
You've said that so many times to us. We're putting that in our process to really support that.
Well, that's
And
good to know. That is, does anybody?
If I could add something, Elaine, I apologize. I always get excited in these conversations because it's my space. So Linux, just so you guys know, feels like Windows XP. It's very light. It has no bloatware. It's also almost virus and malware proof because it's based on Unix, the same stuff that runs big servers at banks and such. Interestingly, the University of Maine system, for the first time in our 22 years of this year said Linux is a viable collegiate computer operating system. Every previous year, all these professors wanted you to do stuff in Microsoft Docs and everything else, so they didn't have to be computer savvy. They'd force it on the student. They finally learned that Microsoft products are not necessarily the only viable operating systems for their clientele, their students. That's super, super important. They've recognized that. The only time that differs is if you're an advanced sciences or a structural materials lab program where you have to use CAD, AutoCAD. You know, you're talking $2,700 software. That is a Windows-based product and will not work natively on a Linux thing without an assembler, and there's all kinds of really geeky stuff behind that to make that work. But 99% of the student population out there in either the community college or university system can use Linux. The last piece I would add is that everyone thinks they need a laptop. Drives me crazy. I'm actually hunched over at my kitchen table working on a laptop because Jody and I live in a little cabin of 800 square feet and I don't have room for a desk. She's fancy, so she has a desk and I get the kitchen table. Efficiency housing, small homes, anything like that, you know, laptops make sense because it's on the kitchen counter while you're working for 20 minutes and then you have to stow it away to feed the kids.
And desktops are also an option for folks that may want a desktop.
And we have, and I'm telling everybody in the state this, we have far larger supply of desktops. We're not talking these big gaumy things. They're micro form factor and small form factor computers. They're like this big that you put your monitor on. They don't take a lot of space. The trick is they are stationary. You don't want to move that thing all the time. Right. So desktop computer and program with Linux is $95 from us. It's literally that inexpensive, and we can spread the love a lot further with desktops when the situation allows it, versus gobbling up $220 or $390 student laptops because everyone thinks they have to have one but doesn't necessarily need it. And mind you, those desktops, when someone spills coffee on it, it's a $5 keyboard sent in the mail.
So you can put the keyboard right in the dishwasher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You do that on your laptop and it's all done.
And with the
Yeah.
desktops, we don't have them come to us. We have Jody and Chris send them directly to that person, because where we use the desktops, where we used one recently in Washington County, is with shut-ins too.
Yep.
And with the shut-ins, they're going to take their classes online, and the desktop works for them. And Jody and Chris know how to package it up and put it out there, and that works well for us, rather than us, sending it directly to them. But we're in
Thank you.
communication with Jody and Chris on those.
And real quick, tablets, we're doing new tablets. We
Oh.
don't do used tablets. We do brand new tablets. And the tablets, Marita, that I just got you have a 1-year accidental warranty on them.
Right.
That if somebody drops it and breaks it, they'll be covered.
Right. And so they give us the new tablets, and we get them all provisioned for ease of use before we send them out. We've got a great relationship with Jody and Chris, and we told them, what we know is our tablets, we want the 10-inch, because those are for seniors.
Right, that sounds great. So does anybody, because our meeting is more than half over and we haven't even scratched the surface, guys, does anybody have any more questions for Jody or Chris or Marita or Taylor before we move on to the actual what happens from here? Okay, awesome. So Jody and Marita and Chris and Taylor, you can stay if you want or go if you want. I know time is valuable, so I'll leave that up to you. And in the chat, Christopher, you said you had some questions on the information that I sent out today. First of all, did everybody get a chance to look at the information I sent out this morning? Some yes, some no. Okay. So if you haven't, go ahead, but it's in there. So I wanted you guys to at least try to take a quick look at it so that any wrinkles we can iron out now. Go ahead, Christopher.
Hi, everybody. So where I work, I've listed out kind of the demographics of the people, really disadvantaged population, low literacy, low tech awareness, middle age to elderly, and highly skeptical and suspicious of anything that comes their way, including me. So I'm pretty much fixated on where the rubber meets the road with these people. Most everyone, and this isn't the fault, most people have no idea what this is. When I'm on the road and meet people, as I do, I have to bring this up with them. And so I'm looking at the form, and I think it's great, but there are just a few things that I want to suggest you do or think about.
Okay.
One of them is, it seems to me that this should be very clear. There's no cost whatsoever as a barrier, and I don't see that.
It says at the top of the application, free device program.
I think that needs to be in the text. I think in other words, that's not enough. People are very, very wary. And when they get into this stuff about signing a document, I can guarantee you that they're not going to go up to that title and look at it. In fact, many of these people won't read the document. They're going to want to make a phone call to a human being. And so I think there needs to be a phone number. And I know that's a hassle, Elaine, but even me, a relatively literate person, out of the blue is not going to deal with this form unless I can talk to a human being and get all of my suspicions out of the way. I'm just making a suggestion.
Yep.
The next thing, under 2, to receive a certificate of ownership for the device, I agree to complete the following. There's A, B, and C. I'm fine with A and B, but I don't understand C, and nor will they. I have not yet applied for the FCC's Affordable Connectivity Program, and I will enroll in an affordable internet class. Why? In other words, what are you asking me to do? How am I being encumbered about this? So I'd want to know about that. And then the last thing has nothing to do with the form. It has to do with metrics for success. I'm going to be highly curious very eager to know where these devices are going, who is getting them, who's being served, so we have a metric for success. So I just would love to have a way to report out to the coalition. So for example, the 11 towns that I work in,
Mhm.
you know, did 2 people in Danforth want it and get it? You know, did someone in Brookton, or so that I would just like to know
Yes.
how successful this program is. So those are my comments right now.
Okay. So as far as the reporting goes, when the application is filled out, and yes, Marita, yes. Okay, so there's 2 things going on here. One is NDEC will send us reporting from their end. And the other thing is that every time one of those applications are filled in, that I receive a copy of it. So I know exactly what I can cross-tabulate information from there in any capacity whatsoever. On another thing, Christopher, I can show you exactly how it works behind the scenes. But NDEC also gives us the same information. And then the follow-up survey has been created. It's all of like 7 questions. And it's information that Maine Connectivity Authority and we are going to want to know, such as how the device is meaningfully being used. Did they have any issues with setting it up? And all this other stuff. It's like all of 7 questions. And that is one of the things they need to take. One of the things that they agreed to, it's all of about 7 questions, I think, to try to gather more of that drilled down information. I've created the survey on SurveyMonkey. So as I said, I can cross-tabulate, drill down from if the answer is veterans and look, drilled down, the average income for a veteran recipient was bang, and whatever. So if you're unfamiliar with that, Christopher, I'd love to show it to you sometime. And but on top of that, NDEC will also be reporting to us as well. I am happy to add a phone number, my phone number onto there. Absolutely no problem. I've been working with the people that you have sent my way. So by email, he seems to prefer by phone. So I can make the free device program even bigger, but the end user device is also important because it lays out not just what their responsibilities are, but also what their rights and warranties are as well. Okay, other questions on that? Because I'd really like to iron these out before we kick this off, which is going to happen. Any of you guys have got the information?
Elaine,
Yeah.
in the 3rd thing he mentioned, the applying for the ACP program, which just yesterday told us the last subsidy will be a full subsidy will be at the end of April.
Right.
Do you want, it's okay if you want to change that out to be taking our affordable internet after the ACP class? If you want to do that, we're fine with that. We're getting that in all over the place right now.
That is what if they haven't enrolled in the ACP, or that is why it's in there.
Oh, okay. So it's in you've already put it in the.
Oh, yes, it's in there.
Okay.
And so the finding affordable internet after the ACP, because with this program, and thank you, Marita, because I really didn't answer Christopher on that. With this program, the individuals need to be low income first and foremost. If they have been using the ACP or haven't been using the ACP, there's a cost to using the internet. And it's certainly to the benefit of low income individuals and households to at least take 1 hour of a free class to look at what their options might be, ways to better afford internet at a lower price. So it kind of just makes sense to have them do that. If they're low income, they probably don't want to look at $150 a month internet bill when something that's maybe 60 would more than suit their needs, for example.
Elaine, I have a couple of questions if you have a chance.
Yeah.
So I'm looking through this material. is this the same program or a separate program than
Separate.
separate? Okay.
Yep.
So
what
you and I
Miss-
can talk about that later. I have
Yep.
questions about this one.
Okay, so what Melissa is referring to is for those organizations who are doing the $3,000 device stipend, she's wanting to know if this is the same or different. This is different. For those organizations who have signed on to do the $3,000 device thing, those checks are being cut. If they're not being cut this week, I think they are being cut this week and will be sent out to you all. For those of you who I have your MOUs back, or who have decided to participate. So go ahead, Melissa. I just wanted to explain what you were.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Did you get my MOU?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one, I'm looking at this from the school perspective. I have a couple of questions. One, how many people, I mean, you know our demographics. Should I have a limit of the people that I'm sharing this information with?
That's the problem, folks, is basically what we've got here is about enough money for, it'll be about up to 200 devices out of this first round of funding. And then each of the organizations that signed on, you've got another $3,000 to spend. So like, I'm not doing a giant Facebook blast on this because it's just, if I had 1,000 to give out, that'd be a different story, but we don't.
Yeah.
So that's why with the kind of relying on all of you as partners to kind of identify people that you might know, or even just talk to them about it. Yesterday, one of our coalition members, John, was unable to attend today. So he reached out to me and said, hey, I've got a buddy who's a veteran, low income. Yeah, go for it. Send him my way. And so that's, yeah.
Okay, so
We're just
I'm
gonna have to
looking.
word of mouth on a lot of this.
Okay, so I mean, most of our student population fits into these categories with their families. Should I be looking at talking to 5 different families, 10 different families? I mean, what is the recommendation?
That's a good question. I happen to know if one of our coalition partners has been very, very busy. And so I am expecting probably as much as 50 of the devices are going to go like that.
Okay.
So I would move and move fast. And yeah. Because when the coalition meetings were happening, planning this, it was just first come, first serve. There was no real way for us to, being a low-income veteran, we discussed checking off, is the more of the covered populations that we check off, does that have more weight than someone who, so that's just all too much too. And just remembering each one of you also have $3,000 to also self-identify some recipients.
Okay, and those devices are the same kinds of devices as we were just speaking about.
Yeah, it's going to go the same way. It's going to go the same way. You'll just fill out that device request form with NDEC, and they will contact that individual. They'll contact that household, talk about what device best is going to suit their needs. If an individual, if a participant says, look, I really want to be able to do telehealth and talk to my family who lives in California, they don't need a laptop. That's not, if somebody says, I really want to go back to college, or I want to start a business or whatever, a tablet is not going to work for them. And as was previously mentioned, if there are vision impairments or whatever, okay, a little tiny tablet isn't going to do it. So it's really important that the participants get the device they need. And as I kept repeating in my information sheet there, NDEC won't call someone if the person doesn't know. They don't do unsolicited phone calls.
Okay,
So go ahead.
Oh, you were saying you were cutting checks for the stipend. So that money comes to the school, and then we arrange with NDEC what the cost would be and then submit payment to them?
That's a darn good question. How do you guys work that? Marita, you're still on here, and so is Chris.
When we if we get something using the form, how will we know that it's not one of the 200 devices, Elaine? Should we just put it in? I know there's a note section on the form. Just put it in there and let us know. And then we'll have a separate MOU with you, Melissa. But it's the same pricing that we've given in the budget, because our budget is based on, you know, making sure that we can provide what's needed there.
And
Okay.
one second.
And do you have that budget? Because I don't see pricing.
Well, actually, Elaine, maybe this is not something that's come, I didn't really get that we were going to do this with the 3,000. So
Chris,
why don't we?
Hold on, Chris, Chris Martin, don't you have like a sponsorship thing?
Yes, so
And Jody there, sorry.
Yep, that's okay. If they do not qualify within your program.
Right.
No, hold on. If Shed High School were to send you $3,000 and say, we would like to sponsor folks.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you just do a running tally and they just refer to you.
Yes.
Oh, so we, yeah. And then Jody, you and Chris and I can work out what you need for support there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it that way.
It's so we are very flexible.
Okay.
Right. I love the fact with Marita's group that we've had this relationship for so long that she's asking the same questions we're asking.
Yeah.
And she just literally puts their name, address, and some questions on a form for us, and we just fulfill the order.
Yeah.
But if you have, you know, the $3,000, if you want to just send me $3,000 and we can just do a tally and we share the spreadsheet with you. So you'll see every person that goes on there. You'll see tracking information. So you know that the device has been sent out. And then you'll see the subtraction, because again, not one size fits all.
Yeah.
So, you know, the other point I just want to really say that it's super important. If you have little kids running around, a laptop really is not the best choice, because little kids, I have to tell you, within 2 months, it's going to be broke.
Yeah.
Because who can say no? I mean, it's an easy babysitter, you know, I mean, you know, but little kids with devices, it's going to get broke.
We get requests all the time for devices for school children, and we always say NDEC does not work with children, we work with adults, and we always refer them back to their education district.
Okay, so hold on 1 second, because we've got 10 minutes left. Sorry.
Okay.
So let's get back to Melissa's question in the 3,000.
Yes.
So then it would make sense for coalition partners who want to do that with you to reach out and say, hey, this is, and to set up an account with you, and they just directly. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
And so,
yeah.
Does that make sense to coalition members who are going to be doing the? Yes. Okay, perfect. Yep. That way you guys can do it.
Yeah.
And you've got direct hands-on coalition members. With
and
what's
Jody,
going.
Chris, you can always contact us for whatever educational support you need, as you know.
Yes.
So that works fine. Great.
And we always push in NEDC's direction once they get the equipment.
Okay, Dylan?
All right, I'm still a little unclear about how that stipend works. So like if we wanted to have like a computer lab that was serving the covered populations, would we be able to do our own purchasing for those devices, or would we need to go through NDEC or Give IT, Get IT?
Nope. No, if it's for public use, you can purchase them wherever it is you want. Just keep the receipts, and there's going to be that reporting spreadsheet that I sent to you if you're using a public or loaner. Yeah.
I just have to be give a plug to Give IT, Get IT. They do a really good job with computers for lab with Clean Sweep on it and stuff like that. But maybe
Yeah.
it's not Clean Sweep, it's another
Yeah,
program.
those would be
yeah.
the public access stations that we've been building for libraries forever. So the patron, when they sign off, it forgets everything they did to the system and it becomes brand new, just like you would see in a hotel concierge. They're $250, 2-year warranty. They're tanks, absolute tanks. And the nice part is it takes the techie out of the librarian. You don't have to be a techie to make this thing work. It just works. So.
And if you've got homeless shelters or soup kitchens or any place that needs like a public access computer, those are the ones to get.
Great. Other questions on this? So what we are going to be starting with is what I affectionately term the $30,000 Washington County free-for-all. That is not, that's the stuff that I just sent you this morning. The application is online, it's live, you can print it out, end user agreement. So I'm hoping that step by step, it all makes sense what it is that I laid out there. I'm not going to say that there may not be glitches. And to your point, Christopher, I'm happy to add my phone number. And of course, when you're talking to folks, if you're buying office somewhere, grab a handful of my business cards or something and say, this is who you need to talk to. But they're not, it's not going to take long. I wish we had more. And Kendra Joe from MCA has joined us. So Kendra Joe, we need more.
I like it. Show us the demand.
It'll be there. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to get this going. And I know you guys are too. So those device stipends and things, that's separate than what we're working on right now. Our finance department is cutting those checks and they'll be going out. And so, you know, if you want to partner with Give IT, Get IT, and NDC, whatever, to do your $3,000 worth of devices, then I can connect you with Jody or Chris. You can check out their website, giveitgetit.org or something, isn't it?
Yes, give it, get it.
Give it, get
I'll
it.org.
put in the in the chat my email and my phone number.
Yeah, Kendra Joe is asking if I can put the link to the survey, the application in the chat. Well, of course I can. So we have about 6 minutes left. Of course, it doesn't really, let's see. I just want to make sure there's nothing. Okay. Yes, I can do that. Does anybody have any other questions for anybody at all?
I guess I'm just curious, like, when would we know, like, when all of the devices are exhausted and when we should, like, stop referring people?
Yeah, that's another excellent question. So, thank you, Dylan. Is how, Marita, how will I know, how often will I be notified?
We will be, to start with, we will start with monthly reports for you so that you know exactly where we're at. So that you can know, and you can report out, after every month you can report out to Washington, your coalition, there are this many devices left. So that because it may go very, very quickly.
Yes, I have a feeling it's going to go very quickly.
And if we will let you know, on a regular basis, even less than monthly, Elaine.
Yeah.
If we see, we'll be in constant communication with you.
Okay.
And Jody and Chris will know how fast they're going out because they'll be getting more and more orders,
Yeah. So it'll be really important for the coalition members because that would really stink to have people, if they're all gone in 2 weeks and we don't know it. That would be horrid. That would be horrid.
If I haven't seen them go that fast, but we've never had a program with this many people committed referrals before. This is so great. But I have seen times when we've had to program one time and it was picked up by the news and we got an onslaught of requests. Like,
Right. And
and
that's why I
yeah,
don't, we can't, this program that we have,
yeah,
it just isn't big enough. If we had
it's not big enough.
thousands, right, if we had thousands, that would be a different story. But,
And yeah, so this is good that we're doing it this way because, and Taylor and I will be in constant communication with Elaine and she will get updates more so weekly, but we'll be given updates on a reporting basis on a monthly basis for this program. So,
And Kendra Joe, I am not ignoring your request. I can't stop paying attention to the meeting. And so this, hold on, let me get back there here. So Kendra Joe, this is the, the English one. We have them in both. Everything is in English and in Spanish. So hopefully that will work. And so awesome. So yes, thank you, Marita and Chris and Jody, because that will be imperative. Great question, Dylan. You have a lot of good questions, Dylan. Glad you're joining us. And Angela too. So the stuff is live, so go forward and
All right,
conquer.
I guess I have one more question.
Go for it.
I saw, so in your email, there's the application link in your email text, but then there's also the NDEC application that's in the Word doc, like another link. Which one should we be filling out?
Yep. So when you do the one that in the email, the body of the email, that comes directly to me for reporting purposes. Absolutely. Yep. And that comes directly to me. That's when you refer that person to the NDEC one. That's when you enter their stuff into there. And
Okay,
that's
so
if you don't do the NDEC one, they won't get a device.
so should we do both, or so if they
Both.
fill out this one, then you help them fill out the NDEC one?
If capacity is an issue, I can do it, but somebody would have to let me know.
Okay.
Because if I'm going to do all 200 of them, I'm going to have no fingers left at the end of.
and Elaine, as we
Okay.
get closer to the end, we might say you know, fill out the survey form and then Elaine, you will let them know whether there's still capacity to fill out the NDEC.
Yeah.
So, but that shouldn't happen right away, hopefully, so that we can.
Not
Everybody
right
can get-
away, but like I said, I'm anticipating a good number
Me
of them
too.
going very quickly.
Me too. Yeah.
So should we just do both?
Yes, please, if you can do both.
Okay.
So when the person fills out the one that's, when they fill out the one that's in the body of the email, when the participant fills that out or whatever, and if that comes to me, and so if you are helping someone with this, then just go right on to the NDEC one, and fill that out. And that goes directly to NDEC, and that makes the ball roll.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody?
I have to say, I'm so psyched we're getting this started. I'm just so psyched.
I'm terrified. Laura, look at that look on your face.
You're psyched. We've been working for 23 years for this moment.
Well, it is super exciting.
23 years.
I also want to say that's amazing, and I'm so excited. I also want to really quickly, it's 12 o'clock, but it's not 12:01. I wanted to also point out to the coalition that digital skills classes in Spanish and in French are being taught at Mono. And so for the first time ever, and the community members are gobbling them up. My email keeps blowing up with new classes and new enrollees, so I'm wicked excited and ahead of the game. Yeah, that's awesome. So we're doing
Elaine,
really
can I
good
toss
stuff
out a
here.
really quick tidbit before the gang leaves?
All right, really quick, because now you're eating into their lunch hour.
Oh, darn it. So as there's a lot of pressure to identify sources or folks that need devices in this round, if you guys run into individuals who are either on the edge, because we worked at 200% of the federal poverty level, some people work below that, and that's because of our work with the Maine Department of Labor.
We're
Um,
200%.
Oh, beautiful. Thank God.
Yeah,
Some
we
people
are.
aren't, and it's really challenging.
But anybody
we-
who's over, it's a no-brainer. I do refer people to Give IT, Get IT when they're
Perfect.
over.
And we like to catch the outliers. So if you run into somebody that has really strong need, that, you know, all these stipends have been expended, let's not leave anyone behind. Get a hold of Jody and see what we can do collaboratively to help those people so they don't fall into the cracks. That's one of our strengths, is making sure people don't get left behind. So
awesome.
And
Good.
Christopher, real quick, Christopher, is on my site, when they fill out that application online, it is going to say that you owe X amount of dollars at the end. Just someone will be in touch with them to talk about that cost.
yeah, we
That
have
is not
grants that
the,
we have
that's,
grants that we
yeah,
can
that's
actually
our
help with.
cost,
Yeah.
not necessarily the end user's cost.
Gotcha. Okay. We may have to have you come back another time.
I know.
All right,
Well,
folks.
call me with questions. That's fine.
Yep, numbers in the chat. We're good to go. So, all right.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.